Honestly, I don't even know. There's a 99.9% chance that I cry in today's podcast. I am emotional as everything is making me cry.
Why would you cry? I'm going to cry.
Everything's making me cry this week.
We'll find out.
Roll the intro.
Yep, let's go home.
Hey guys, welcome back to Wild Till 9, our weekly podcast hosted by myself, Lauren, and boyfriend Jeremy.
Hi.
Hi, everybody.
Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. How are things going?
Or whatever day you listen to the podcast.
Second week of December. Let's go.
Holy shit.
Have you bought my Christmas present yet?
No, but it's because I'm just down to so many different options. I just can't choose.
Mm-hmm. Guys, yeah. I truthfully gave Jeremy an idea of what I would love for Christmas, and he said no. He said it was ugly, and he would not buy it for me.
I mean, they're like the ugliest sneakers I've ever seen. And you were like, not only were they ugly sneakers, you were like, Mom, Jeremy, will you buy me these will you just split this present?
They're honestly, this is so many boyfriends' dream is when the girlfriend tells them exactly what they would like for Christmas, a present that they would enjoy, and something affordable to split.
Right. But have I ever had a Christmas go by where I just like really missed the mark and like couldn't figure it out?
You're a good gift buyer, yeah.
But now I feel like I can't even believe you. I feel like it's almost insulting.
I don't know. Our Christmas this year is like a little non-traditional. So I don't know. I guess I panicked. Anyways,
I was put in the give specific instructions because he cannot fend for himself category.
I guess it does say that. That's not how I feel. I just thought that we already have enough
Actions
Christmas stress.
Speak louder than words.
We have so much Christmas stress going on this year that I just thought that I would just take one thing. Anyways, I want to follow up with my intro. So I've been coming off of my anti-anxiety medication. I've talked about this on my vlog. But basically, I've been on an SSRI for 9 years, and my doctor has safely reduced my dosage so that now I am fully off. I've been off for 2 weeks, and everything is making me cry. Everything. We watched the finale of The Undoing last night, cried. Christmas movie, cry. Someone wrote me a nice message on in the DMs, cried. Everything is making me cry.
You know, I will say it's interesting because historically, you don't cry that much.
I don't cry that much, yeah.
And for an awfully, not emotional person, someone who's in tune with their emotions,
yeah,
you don't cry as much as I guess I would have thought you would have.
Huh, interesting.
So this makes sense.
Yeah, I'm on the verge of tears at all moments. Like anything too happy, too sad.
Right. It's not any one specific genre of emotion.
It could happen at any moment.
Yeah. So welcome to an hour of Will She Cry or Not?
There's something sitting on our side table here that for sure will make me cry. So I just wanted to tee it up. Putting it out in the open. Because I'm gonna sob.
I don't
most
think you
likely.
will. And also now you're setting it up for be way bigger than it is.
No, I don't know. You know what? If Christmas movies, if cheesy Netflix Christmas movies can make me cry, I think that some heartfelt shit can also make me cry.
Well, welcome to the Heartfelt Podcast.
Welcome to the Heartfelt Podcast. So nice.
You want to give the people a little update on your life?
I mean, yeah. Okay. So besides the fact that I'm going through an emotional crisis right now for absolutely no reason.
And do you have another follow-up appointment with the doctor?
Yeah, I do on Friday.
Oh, I was like, is this your permanent state? Am I stuck with this? Is this final form?
I mean, I've been really trying to hold back tears. I've been trying to not cry too much just at all times, but I could cry at any moment.
Okay.
It's pretty wild. Anyways, today is Vlogmas Eve. So for those of you who have not participated in viewership or content creation of Vlogmas, it is vlogging every day until Christmas, which is a little psychotic, if I'm being honest. It's making a video every single day. And luckily, I personally have someone who edits my videos, so I can send my footage off, and the next day it'll be ready. So that's going to happen 6 out of 7 days of the week, and I will be editing every Sunday. I'm a little scared. I've never done Vlogmas before. So anyways.
Oh, never?
No, I've never done this before. So on top of being overly emotional, I'm going to be overworked as well, which I think is a really healthy combination.
To be fair, though, you're very good at getting tasks done.
When I have an end date,
yeah,
I think I'll be able to do it.
Yeah.
But just it's just not healthy.
Your free flow is not your friend.
No. Love me some structure.
But you thrive in that. You get shit done. Like I feel like there are people out there that don't like put a deadline on them, and they're like, "Ooh, I work at my own pace."
Yeah.
And then there's also people who are like, "If there's no deadline, I'll get to it just short of when I die."
Right.
Two types of people.
Two types of people. Yeah. So I think that I'll do okay with like the daily routine of doing it. I'm sure I'll fall into the routine, but I just need everyone to know that here is a nice preface to the next 23 days of making a video every single day where I'm feeling, aside from the whole like being on the verge of tears at all moment, I'm feeling pretty sane. So
I think it's funny because in 7 days whenever we record the next episode, people will be able to see you just start to like slowly deteriorate.
Yes.
Because people won't actually see this video until 13 days after Vlogmas began.
7 days after Vlogmas begins.
Oh shit, you're right.
7 days
so
after.
It's fine.
Yeah, so it'll be the first week. So I'll still be pretty fresh, but I'm sure you'll see the light going from my eyes. Or maybe you'll love it. Who knows? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
So realistically, everyone should be wishing me luck.
Tears at any moment, just overload of stress. Anyway, happy Vlogmas, everyone. It's Vlogmas Eve. It starts tomorrow. Get excited. Happy Vlogmas. On top of happy Vlogmas, happy DUI scrubbed off your record, kind sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank...
my lawyer, my mother,
my lawyers, my mom. She was there for me.
She was there. Yeah.
She was sometimes she was there a little too much. I was like, you know what? I'll handle this, please.
I feel like for our listeners, that sentence was really jarring.
Me getting arrested for a DUI.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I feel like I've wanted to tell bits and pieces of the, not to the DUI story, but things that have happened after I got arrested for. Hi, my name is Jeremy, and I was arrested for a DUI.
At what age?
17.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like that's a huge, I feel like piece of the story that I'd like to put out there now.
Yeah, 17. I had turned 17 the month before, so 16 turning 17.
Okay.
But I feel like I've wanted to tell bits and pieces of the story for so long, but it has taken me 11 years, literally until last week or 2 weeks ago, to actually get it expunged off of my record to the point where like I can actually talk about it open and honestly.
Right.
And not worry about like things coming back to bite me in the ass and this and that. And like technically I was like 17. So you're kind of a minor, but you're kind of not in the state of Illinois. So it's like, it's kind of like this gray area of like, do you put it on job applications? Do you have to tell people and like this and that? So it's like very gray area anyway.
Right.
And I was, although let's be clear, I was drunk. I was driving. Like, let's be very clear. I was very guilty of all those things, although it's expunged off my record now.
Right.
Like the fact of the matter is like, I didn't end up actually getting convicted of a DUI, which is why I was able to get it off, but it still took me 11 years.
And so this process, you weren't able to start the process of expunging it until a certain amount of time had passed, right?
Well, not only that, so it took like 5 years to start the process of like not having any other things hit your record, right?
Oh, so you had to have a clean record for 5 years. That was step one.
Not only did I have to have it, when I initially got arrested for DUI, it was like end of February, March of that, I think it was 2009. And they had just increased the like penalty of what DUIs in Illinois meant.
Oh.
It meant that I was supposed to like have a breathalyzer in my car for the rest of my life.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, if I got one more, it was like mandatory, like jail time, or it was jail time even, like, I don't know. There was like a lot of things that went with it, and it just turned over. And when I got it, there was no world where I was getting it expunged. That law actually changed 4 or 5 years afterwards, and my lawyer called my mom back and was like, hey, I think I can get this off of his record.
Oh.
So like things fell into place for me to be able to even get it off my record in the first place. Yeah, but it took 5-10 years to like start and finish that process.
Oh my God. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
My mom is sitting at home being like, you're dating a criminal.
Well, you know, it's like really sad. And once again, I did it. That wasn't even like a question of like whether, absolutely. The sad part as a high schooler who I think is sheltered a little bit from a reality is that you start to realize when friends say they can't hang out or like you can't do certain things that like, actually that's the parents saying, no. I know you know Jeremy for 5 or 10 your whole life. You're not allowed to hang out with him anymore.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about like the social effects of that.
Yeah. It was interesting to see. And I think anyone who's like run into like this kind of shit before themselves, like will like relate with like even like well-meaning parents and this and that, people have always been there, whatever. It was very interesting to see the people who were immediately like, no, Johnny can't hang out with them. Or like, you know what? We need to spend more time with Jeremy because he needs it more than ever.
Oh, interesting.
And like people very much fell into those two buckets.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely had a few friends growing up who got caught shoplifting. I mean, that's something that's so like common in teenagers. And I think that my parents didn't even really know, but I made the personal decision to be like, oh shit, like I don't know if I fuck with this. And I distanced myself a little bit, if I'm being honest.
God, you're a good kid.
I would be too nervous to ever shoplift. Like outside of like a piece of candy from like a bulk bin of candy. You know what I mean? Like that was the extent of my shoplifting.
Badass.
In Canada, we have Bulk Barn, and that's what like that store is built on, just like bulk candy and other goods.
Oh, and you stole a piece of bulk candy?
Into my mouth. So I didn't even leave the store with it. Well, I guess I technically did leave the store with it, but you know what I mean? Yeah.
Could have put it back.
Okay, well.
Anyway, long story short, I feel like let me just burp here. I feel like there have been people who have asked us like, hey, tell us more about like your story in college or high school or this or that. And there have been I felt like I couldn't be honest with the whole story because the beginning of the story, which sounds like the worst thing that ever happened to me, to be fair, like it was so important that set me on the path to who I am today. And like realistically, I don't think that we would be together had I not gotten the DUI at 17 years old.
Definitely not.
Which is like crazy to think so, right? Like that, a bad thing like that would decide so much random shit that to a degree has nothing to do with it, but has everything to do with it.
Well, I'm like a firm believer that like everything happens for a reason, and like one slight change in your path can just totally just put you on an entirely different direction.
Right.
But I think that this probably was one of the most pivotal points. So like, it could have even been different had you gone to a different high school. Totally. You know what I mean? Like something very like, very normal. But I think this was like the most pivotal change that like, if this hadn't happened, you probably would have never moved to LA, you know? Like there's so many things like chain reactions that it would have changed.
Right. It's funny. I feel like when we were talking about like, hey, what do you want to talk about next pod or whatever? I was like, I want to talk about the DUI. And you were like, I was like,
oh shit, we're doing it.
We're doing
it.
And like, I literally like to myself, I went to my office last night. Yeah, last night. And quite literally wrote a timeline down of just like all the things that transpired after that DUI. And it was crazy to almost relive my own life of just like, I feel like I even realized some things that I hadn't even thought of a year or two ago. Of like, wow, that also was tied to all the different dominoes that kind of impacted from that first impact.
Right. Well, I mean, everything's connected. It's all connected.
Yeah. Well, Lauren, I'm not sure how we did it, but our best friends at Blue Blocks have decided to sponsor every episode of our podcast until 2030.
What? Where are you reading that?
They didn't. Really, I'm just hoping so, because I wear them every day now. And honestly, I can't believe it took me this long to realize just how much I needed their glasses to help with my headaches.
So what I'm hearing, it kind of sounds like you're saying that they don't need to sponsor us and you'll still wear them.
Those are your words. Definitely not mine, but also not that far from the truth because their product is just so good. But in case you've forgotten, Blue Blocks glasses protect your eyes from harmful blue light that come from phones, TVs, and other devices we use every day.
I will say I'm equally as impressed by their science-based technology and also their super cute designs. Plus, their website is easy to use and shipping was super fast.
Honestly, if you're still trying to figure out what to get someone who works at home in front of a computer, TV, or phone for the holidays, I can't recommend them enough.
We both have been shocked at how big of an impact Blue Blocks has made on our everyday lifestyle and health.
And they have like 20 different styles to choose from. So you can pick a pair or two to go with any of your work from home attire.
You do, in fact, look pretty hot in that one pair.
Oh, yeah? Go on.
Don't push your luck.
I'll take it. Get your energy back and sleep better. Just block out the unhealthy effects of blue light with Blue Blocks. Go to Blue Blocks today and get free shipping worldwide and 15% off with code WILD. That's BLUBLOX.com and use code WILD for 15% off. Hey, fellas. Yep, you big guy. Yeah, why don't you take a quick break, head out for a minute. Ladies and I need to chat about this new eyelash extension glue we're going to try. Ladies, feel free to pause until they're gone. We all know how men can be a bit slow to get moving. Okay, now that it's just us, are you looking for the ultimate stocking stuffers for this holiday season? Fantastic, because our sponsor, Manscaped, has the tools to help you win this year's stocking stuffer or white elephant competition. Manscaped is the only brand
dedicated to below-the-waist grooming and hygiene products, and great news. They just released their products across Europe, Canada, and down under. That's Australia. I don't know why I said that. That was stupid. Anyway, sorry. You're probably asking, but Jeremy, I don't have balls of my own. How am I ever to know which products I should buy? Never fear, Jeremy's here. Let me walk you through a few of my favorites, starting with Crop Cleanser Body Wash. Yes, I mean head-to-toe body wash that can also be used on hair. I know it's a foreign concept to many of you listening, but trust me when I say it's for the best, and I promise you he'll understand. Next, the Lawnmower 3.0, which is essentially the EGOT-winning equivalent of ball trimmers. The Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant. That title's actually pretty self-explanatory. And last but not least, Lauren's personal favorite for me, the Weed Whacker, which is God's gift to nose hair removal. Those are her words, not mine. These formulations are all vegan, dye-free, sulfate-free, paraben-free, plus they're cruelty-free, meaning both Lassie and Seabiscuit have approved this message. So, whether you have them or not, be the ballsiest gift giver this year with Manscaped. Get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com with code WILDTIL9. That's manscaped.com. Code WILDTIL9. Whether this is for you or your partner, your dad, brother, friend, get them something that they'll actually use and most cases desperately need by being the Mrs. Claus of comedy with Manscaped. Happy holidays.
Okay, so I feel like we need to like back it up a little bit.
Okay.
Now that we've gotten like the announcement, the congratulatory session out of the way, and we've established this was at like 16, almost 17. Take us back. I mean, like, should we just like talk about the night that you got? So as someone who's never even been pulled over for like a speeding ticket or like a headlight out, I think that I would have shat if I got caught driving drunk.
Well, the point of being drunk is that you're not as with it.
I guess.
Mentally with it. So like, although you're not like sitting there going, ooh, I'll figure this out. I was shit-faced as a 17-year-old kid because Uber didn't exist and I couldn't call my mom until I was drunk and all these things. I was like, I'm invincible. I'll drive myself kind of thing.
Right.
And I think that when it was happening, I was very drunk when it happened, like pretty drunk. It was pretty bad. Like should not have been driving a car, could have seriously hurt somebody, right?
For sure.
So to give you a little bit of context, it was the night of my winter formal.
Okay.
When I was a junior in high school.
That's what helped me, the Canadian
11.
grade 10, 11.
Yeah. And I was like, it wasn't even like from the dance. It was like I'd gone to some party or this or that afterwards, and I was with a buddy of mine. And we were just like leaving the party, and I think I was driving him to go take him back to his place or go to the next place or whatever kind of thing. It was late.
And how far were you from like the destinations? Because I feel like people are always like, when I hear of drunk driving stories, I feel like it's always like, oh, well, I was only 10 minutes away, so like it was okay.
Yeah, I mean, it was close. It was Rockford. None of it's that far.
Right.
It's all a 10, 15-minute drive, no matter how far you're going. Kind of thing, right. And to give you an even more like context, like when I was driving, I didn't hit anybody. I wasn't speeding. I was going the speed limit in my lane, like would not have been pulled over under normal circumstances.
Oh.
But I went through a police checkpoint.
Oh shit. Okay,
Yeah,
I
so
see.
they were
But I mean, like this is why police checkpoints are so important, because like I feel and you know what, I feel like all my friends who drive, not drunk, but like a few of my friends who will like smoke weed beforehand, they're like I'm so focused, da 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 da. But it's like you just this is gonna sound terrible, but you just like can't trust the people. Can't always trust the people.
You can't, and it's one of those things where. No, I was going the speed limit. I wouldn't have been pulled over, all those things. But I don't. Maybe a car would have pulled out in front of me 6 blocks ahead, and I had hit it as a 17-year-old.
Like reactions
killed
just
somebody,
different. Yes,
I'd still be in jail.
Right.
Involuntary man, whatever it is, like I would be in jail, no doubt.
Right. So like if you had not gone through that police checkpoint and they stopped you, like that could have altered so much of like your path, your journey, your direction.
Right. Even more than the DUI did in a much worse way.
Totally.
And so I went to the checkpoint and I was so drunk, the police officer didn't even ask me to blow. That's how, because it was just like, a kid, you're, reeking of alcohol. It's miserable kind of thing. Threw me in the back, went actually to jail. And
you went into jail?
Yeah. And into a holding cell.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Mom was super, super excited
about that. Love that one. Yeah. This is side note. I, in our law class in high school, we had to blow into a breathalyzer, pre-COVID days. They just like take a Kleenex and wipe off the top.
No way.
I mean, I think there was a few of us that tried, right? Because we were just like, you just don't think about it.
Right.
Anyway, it's like a big ass breath. And maybe me being like 15 and having like these little tiny like 100-pound body lungs like had a harder time. But like breathalyzers are not easy to take. I was shocked.
You know, oddly enough, I still wouldn't be able to tell you. Never did one.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm such a that's I can't believe I have more life experience than you do there.
You have more breathalyzer experience.
Wow,
than I do.
that's pretty wild. Okay, so you went to jail and
I mean, I went to a holding cell.
Go into a holding cell, do they do the whole like frisk and search and take everything off and you're in like
No, I was in my own clothes.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it's like overnight. And to give you more context to make mom even more proud, she worked for the state of Illinois. So like I was basically being taken to her place of work.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I'm sure every mother's dream.
She was super proud of me that moment.
Oh my God. What was her initial reaction?
Mad, upset, distraught, just
knowing your mom, I've never seen her. I feel like I can envision her being upset, but I can't visualize her being angry.
She was,
which might actually be worse.
Yeah. She was it was the problem was it was the mixture of couldn't be madder at me, like excited that, or happy, I guess, that I wasn't like hurt, whatever, but like couldn't be more upset with me, couldn't be more disappointed with me, couldn't be more all of the things at once, and didn't have any of the tools to deal with it. But yeah, I mean, she like came pick me up with my stepdad in the middle of the night and took me home. And it was crazy because I think similar to like, when you like wake up from a crazy dream that feels real, you go, oh my God, that was a dream, of course, kind of thing. I remember I woke up the next morning and that, like when I was being arrested and taken downtown and all these things, whatever, it's not that it didn't hit me, but I was still just like, it's so far from reality and my reality and who I am and my path that it didn't feel real.
Right.
And I remember I woke up the next morning and I remember thought to myself, my life's over.
Also fully sober now. Like taking in the responsibilities of like what had happened.
Yeah. And I remember that moment of like waking up and like looking at my door. It was closed in my bedroom, and like I want nothing. I want nothing on the other side of that door.
Right.
I do not want to get out of this bed. I do not want to face anyone. I do not want to face anything. Everything in my life has now completely changed.
Right. Okay. And so then leading up to this night, what kind of kid were you in school?
I mean, did not give a single fuck about grades. I love sports. I was big with sports and everything. And this was right. I mean, we'll get into, I enjoy music. I love music, but it wasn't like a passion of mine. It wasn't something that like carried my life or a theme that kept me going on. And I feel like I was constantly trying to chase after the image of what I thought a man was supposed to be, this manly thing, right? To personify this thing that didn't exist in my life. And although I had a stepdad at the time, was like, he was not my father.
Right.
I couldn't stand him.
Because how long were they together?
5 years.
Okay. But I mean, if it's not someone that you go through like your youth with, I think especially as a teenager, it's so hard to connect.
Not to mention like coming into my life at, I think 5th or 6th grade.
That's what I'm saying. Is like, that's such a hard, that's like when kids they are tough to warm up. Yeah.
And I was like, I feel like hitting the head on of like trying to be this, this masculine thing that didn't want help from anybody.
Right.
So I think even if he had been some great stepfather, which he wasn't by any means, I still would have pushed back, and he wasn't. And I really pushed back.
Right.
And I know my mom was upset about that and all the other things, but my mom was very like not strict, but much more on the conservative side, and was not someone who was going to like see the gray area of like boys being dumb and stupid or whatever. It was very much, it wasn't a, Jeremy, think better next time, or maybe you should think about doing this. It was, if you think or want to do these things, you are wrong.
Right.
So don't do them.
I think too, not to play devil's advocate for your mother to justify why she was so angry, because I feel like she has every right to be angry. I think on top of that as well, because you are adopted and she was a single mother for so long, like I feel like even though she had been really strict with you and conservative, I feel like every decision that she made in her life, whether it ended up being kind of like right or wrong, was always with your best intentions
100%.
To give you the best life. So I'm sure that she looked inward, and I'm sure potentially put the blame on herself a little bit.
I'm sure she did.
Right.
Absolutely. And I'm sure to this day she probably does to some extent. And it's just interesting to kind of see, because that moment obviously was a low point for me, and everything that came after that, whether that was having to go to court or having to go to school, all these things or whatever, you can't get away from that. And people will, when they see that, they now associate you with that. And when it's a big enough city where you can kind of get away, but you can't really get away, it's like you're constantly thinking to yourself, does this person have a preconceived notion of who I am based off of what they've heard from that point forward? And as I've talked about in previous podcasts, I had no interest in staying in Rockford. And I don't have a clear enough like memory to remember now to like, I'm sure this was part of it. I wanted to get away.
Right. I didn't even think about that. Yeah. To leave that image of that you felt like you had. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So when you applied to community college and later Kentucky, is that something that goes on like your job applications and your school applications?
Yeah. So once again, gray area.
It's gray area,
because it's like kind of minor, kind of not. I mean, the way they ask the question, right? Sometimes they'll just ask you, have you ever been arrested for a misdemeanor or arrested for a misdemeanor? Or have you ever been tried? Have you ever been pulled over for? There's varying levels. And there's certain things like in certain states that now are no longer allowed, which is, you can't look up juvenile records from other states and even in some states, right?
Oh, interesting.
But the way that it ended up was I didn't have to put it on all of my applications.
Okay.
For school and whatnot, but certain, I guess legally I didn't have to put it on some applications, but it would show up a few times moving forward on applications for things that I did.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. And so what does it show up as? Because you weren't technically convicted.
It showed up as reckless driving, DUI based.
Oh, reckless driving, DUI based.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, like to take it all back a couple steps, right? The DUI happens. Obviously, a big deal. Mom is distraught. Stepdad and her were not doing well anyway.
Right.
And I remember my private school found out and forced me to go to some like alcohol rehabilitation, like counseling session to figure out if this was like a problem that I needed to be like brought into a system for,
program,
or if it was something that was more like a one-off, right?
Right.
And I remember I went and, talked to the psychologist, this doctor about whatever, and kind of went through stuff, and she made her recommendations. And and that didn't really end up being anything more than it was. And I remember on the way back, we got home and like my mom was irate about the whole thing, right? Like that she had to do this and that. And I had to go pick up the car from the impound and all these things, right? And we walked back into the house. And as we're walking in, my stepdad has 2 suitcases in his hands. And he said, I'm over this. I'm done.
What a fuck ass.
Yeah.
No, but like that genuinely makes me so like...
And I was such at a point in my life. I remember I looked at him, I was like, finally, some good fucking news from this thing.
Well, I mean, if you guys had a poor relationship to begin with, and especially if like seeing the negative sides and always being on your mom's side, right? Because obviously family first. I'm sure that was like a little bit of a relief.
I mean, it's funny because he said, I'm headed out, I'm not coming back. And he kept to his word. I never saw him again. But it was funny because I think about 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, I don't really remember like what the catalyst was here, but I'll always remember my mom was like sitting on the couch next to me and she said, I have a feeling that this was all for the better. And it was very much like when she came to grips with the fact that like she's now going to be another divorce. Things are not flowing. Things are not going the way that they were planned. She had spent a lot of her savings getting this dude out of his situation, all this shit, right?
Right. I forgot that she really committed to like helping him in, financial ways as well. I mean, that's mature as hell for your mom. Like obviously she's an adult, but like there are so many mothers who come from a single mother background who would look at that situation and turn that into something so toxic and put blame on you for being the catalyst for something that would be implied negatively.
Right.
But for her, even after 2 or 3 weeks, like I feel like that is so amazing. Like that's commendable for her to be able to see it in that light and see like the positive perspective of everything that had happened and knowing that like things were going to be okay. Things were going to get better. Yeah.
And I mean, she's a fighter. I mean, it wasn't the first time she's dealt with some real bullshit before. And she came out ahead of it. Do you want to read the letter? Or do you want me to read the letter?
I'm going to bawl. Okay, so preface, what is the letter? What is the letter?
I had begged my mom not to tell my grandmother because she's my favorite person in the whole world and this and that. And I don't know if she said she wouldn't or this or that or whatever, but one day she handed me a letter from my grandmother and she'd obviously told her. and was like, this is from your grandmother. And I was like, and so I went and found it last night, and I had to like type it out because it's really difficult to read.
I literally want to cry just thinking about it.
And so she wrote me this.
I literally, do you see the tears welling up?
I haven't even started.
I know, but I read like the first couple lines. Oh my God, I'm already crying. Okay, go.
All right. This was, I don't know, a week or two, whatever, after everything happened. And she goes, hi, Jer. I am so sorry your willpower had deserted you the night of your school dance. I was very disappointed and very upset, and I know your mom was too. No matter, I love you, and I want the best for you. I'm going to cry. God is standing at the top of a narrow road with his outstretched hand. You are his child. Ask for forgiveness, and he will forgive you if it comes from your heart. You are a good boy, and I pray that you will have enough strength and willpower to set things right. Be humble and kind and loving to your mom and those that think a lot of and those who think a lot of you. You and your mom are going through a lot right now. My thoughts, prayers, and love are with you both. No matter how tall you grow or how much you weigh, you'll always be my little sweetheart. I love you very much. I'm on your side. Call me if you want to talk. Great.
That's so cute. I'm not okay. Oh, we couldn't have done this at the end of the episode.
So that hit hard then. It hits hard now.
I wish these cameras were less HD currently.
Yeah, can we dip this down to 720 for this part?
Oh, fucking shit. God damn. Yeah, I skimmed over it yesterday when we were like planning the podcast, and I was like, I am not mentally well enough to go to read this.
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, it was just like, it was hard because she was like, I'm disappointed, this and that. And she gets like, and it was very much just, no matter, I love you.
I need you to talk for a little bit while I get the ball out of my throat.
Anyway, I mean, that was, it's crazy to think because at that time, I think that was right before she would have moved and like really started to go downhill, like physically, right? That was right before she moved in with us with my grandfather before he died and everything. And that was kind of like the last time where I feel like she lived somewhere else and I was so scared for her to find out about it. And then, because I haven't seen her. And I remember the next time I saw her, of course, it was as if like nothing had happened and she loved me and everything was okay. Because it was, but it's so scary as a 17-year-old going, I've disappointed everybody. Mm-hmm. So those letters mean a lot, and they still do.
Stop it. Stop it right now. I think I need a Kleenex. Please hold.
Welcome back.
Hello. My maker's all fucked up and...
So let's talk about how we got to this happy point, right? So to give you a little context, obviously worst day ever, everything's terrible kind of thing. And I remember that was like Friday, Saturday, and I go to school, that next week or whatever. And I went to a private school. And so there's 500 kids in the entire school. So everyone knows everything and everyone's talked and this and that. And I remember I get called into like the office, second period, third period. And it was the principal's and I had a decent relationship. And he was like, got anything you want to tell me?
Oh, fuck.
And I was like, nope. He's like,
well, he already knew, right?
Yeah. And he goes, well, let me rephrase that. I got two punishments for you. One if you tell me, and one if I have to find out. Got anything to tell me? Yeah. Gave him enough information. He goes, okay, great. We'll go with the lesser one kind of thing. And so I was, outside of being suspended, I didn't really care about that. That wasn't a big deal. The thing that I think was like the real trigger for me was that I was still in a place where sports were what you did because you were a man and you wanted to be manly. You wanted to be cool. You wanted your friends to think you were cool, right? And was very much like what my persona was. That's the vibe I wanted to give off. I wanted to be
star athlete.
I mean, not in star, but just like that was the crowd that I wanted to think. That's the crowd that I wanted to get respect from.
Right.
And he was like, so just a couple things. You won't be able to do sports, obviously. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, you got to take at least a season off of that. That's IHS or Illinois High School Association, and that's the way that we work it. So no sports, so that's done. And then like you're on these sorts of probations and these watch. You got to check in and grades and all this shit, or whatever. And like I walked out of there, and to a degree, it was very much. I didn't know anybody at the school who wasn't allowed to play sports. Right. I didn't know no one at the school was like, as far as I was concerned, was limited in the capacity that I was limited. So outside of feeling alone already, and like needing outside of just like school, needing like that camaraderie and that feeling of being okay and doing the things that made me feel normal again, that was also then taken away from me.
Right.
And I wasn't expecting that one.
I mean, it's tough because I go back and forth being like I feel empathetic towards like 17-year-old you who just wants to feel normal again. But at the same time, like there needs to be consequences to actions like that.
Yeah.
And it's, I guess I feel less bad for you too because I know how everything worked out. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because I'm like I'm trying to figure out my thoughts and I'm like, okay, but I do think that's kind of fair. And I'm like, man, you know what? Maybe I think it's fair also too because it ended up working out for you.
Yeah. I guess my thing is I don't think it works out for everybody.
No, I'm definitely not. Like 100% does not work out for everyone. Like you can, 100%.
And so my mom worked full time, obviously, couldn't drive anymore. So now I was actually stuck at school, high school, right? Because it's private. There's no bus. I was then now stuck at school, as far as I was concerned, from 3:15 until 5:30, 6 o'clock.
Right.
When she could come pick me up with the sixth graders who had to go to, all but
after
babysitting.
School care.
Right. Just sitting there twiddling my thumbs, not being able to go to sports. And I was like, I think I hate my life to the point where I don't want to do this anymore. This is terrible. And not to the point of just like physically hurting myself. Never went there. But all the time I had to think and not be able to do anything was a very unhealthy place.
For sure.
And so, I don't know, a day or two later, I get a call from a guy named Jim Crow, who was the drama director at my school. And he was like, Jeremy, and he was this just the most energy-filled drama teacher to a T definition, right? He called me and said, Jeremy, you're going to audition for my musical. And I was like, what? He goes, you're going to audition for my musical. And you're going to do it. I'm not asking you, I'm telling you to do. I hear you have been knocked on your ass. I know who you are. And we had talked before and we had kind of had a relationship, but whatever. He's like, I know you can sing. He's like, I need you to audition for this musical. I was like,
did you know you could sing at this point?
I knew I could sing, but singing wasn't manly.
Right.
Singing wasn't cool.
Right.
Singing was for nerds. Singing was for that I didn't roll with those people.
Yeah.
That wasn't cool.
Yeah.
And I loved singing, or I liked singing, I guess, at the time. And I knew I could sing, but I never really sang publicly. I'd never really felt comfortable being vulnerable in that position. And I feel like at 17, I was like, it's too late to try. I'll do the sports thing. And long story short, he talked me into auditioning. And I talked to 2 or 3 of my friends that were in band with me right at the same time from playing percussion, but they could sing as well, to audition for this show. And spoiler, I got the lead part. It was Beauty and the Beast, and I got Beast, right? Off the bat, first show I'd ever auditioned for. And I went from this place of I have nothing to look forward to. All people are doing is telling me what I can't do, and all the things that I think are cool I can't do, overnight to some guy saying, I want you to do this. Please do this. I'm demanding you come do this. Now I'm giving you the lead. And now you have something to look forward to and a thing that you like, but have never felt comfortable doing. And I always remember showing up the first day and they give you the binder of your lyrics and your words and all of your lines around people that I would have thought were absolute nerds and had no interest in. I wouldn't be spotted dead eating lunch with these people, right? I mean, it's written out of a movie. And I was these are your new friends. And you've been nothing but rude to them and the people that they hang out with. And they all know you as some piece of shit.
Right.
None of them like you. You now just got the lead. They really don't like you.
They super don't like you now.
You have nothing in common with them as far as you're concerned. Best of luck. And it was the best punishment.
I was going to say, this is the healthiest and luckiest, honestly, for you, reform that you could have received.
100%. Because I realized maybe a week or 2 or 3 after starting this thing, I had more in common with these people than I did with anybody on any sports team I'd ever played on.
Right, that you're trying to earn the respect of at all times. Of course. Yeah.
Of course. And now that's not to say I don't think these people really liked me from week 2 or 3 by any means.
Oh yeah, you're an asshole. I believe that.
Okay. But at the same time, it was just holy shit.
No, I'm sure they did. I want to add on that. You are an asshole, but you're a personable and charismatic asshole. You're hard not to like.
I think there's some people that would disagree with you, but I appreciate that.
Okay.
But it was the biggest lesson I think I had ever learned so quickly, and I was never going to learn it until someone threw me in that position.
And force you to. You know what? I don't know why this sticks out to me. I feel bad for the arts community that even the school association held sports and athleticism above the arts. As a craft and artsy kid, that hits me hard in the soul, being well, damn, like they thought that sports was something that was so like highly held and they would rip that away from you.
Absolutely.
But you could still do arts.
Oh, go ahead and do that.
That's your punishment. You can do arts. Yeah. Like as a craft kid, I'm like, well, damn.
What the fuck?
Why?
Absolutely.
What the fuck? Exactly.
And, you know, so to fast forward a little bit here, the whole thing that basically was the catalyst here was very much the turn your world upside down, you know, look at the world in the sense of now you are going to do something that you feel uncomfortable and feel vulnerable with. And through that, I learned more about myself and more about others than any other part of my life. And I look back and I end my senior year the next year, having never do another organized sport ever again in my life, have no interest in it.
So even when you were allowed to do sports?
Had no interest in it afterwards because the feeling that I felt from being creative and performing from like an on-stage perspective, even whether it was musical or non-musical, was above and beyond what I'd ever felt on the sports side because it was actually who I was, not who I wanted people to see me as who I was.
Right. So what now? What next? What happens next in the story?
To give it even more credit, it's as I kind of like alluded to, there were friends of mine and parents that knew me who were very much don't hang out with that kid anymore. And then there were the ones that, you know, doubled down on it. And I'll give a lot of credit to the girlfriend that I started dating, I don't know, like 6 months after all this happened or whatever. Her parents were, I'll give my mom a lot of credit for a lot of things. One thing that she struggled with was finding that balance between supporting a new hobby at the age of 17 that came from all this that felt like a hobby and felt like a side thing. Certainly not something that could be a future. Right. A future was engineering or
academics,
being a lawyer or anything that was academic or things that she knew how to tie a dollar amount to from her own experiences, right?
Sure.
The arts were not one of those things. And my girlfriend's parents at the time in high school, that was the exact opposite. They were creative themselves and their daughter was a phenomenal actor, singer, dancer, all these things, right? And the amount I learned from watching them support their kid in a creative fashion and the things they would take me to in Chicago to see, like Chicago on Broadway for the first time, right? Or see the specific links they would go to make sure that although we lived in a smaller area, she got the best teachers and the best this and that she could possibly get to get her to the next level.
Right, like the support. There was like an overwhelming amount of support.
Right, and then I credit to a degree them with giving me that perspective in the sense of it wasn't just a kid's random thought, I think I can do it, or like I should pursue this. They, as adults, they supported this thing and that helped me feel like I wasn't crazy for thinking like I should continue to pursue this. And to fast forward a bit, you know, ending high school, I was still not allowed, even though I had been diagnosed with ADD earlier or ADHD, I was still not allowed to have any medication for it because it didn't exist. It's not a real thing. Got to get off that kind of stuff. That's not a real thing.
Right.
And
so wait, so your mom said that?
Yes. That was not something that was going to fly. That's not a real thing. You're not focusing. You're not trying hard enough.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's the most common thing that you hear is that like, so recently I was just diagnosed with ADHD and OCD. Like, newsflash, I'd gone my whole life and I had no idea. And like when I was talking to my psychologist, he was saying how just like the most common form of stereotype is that you picture a young boy who is not yet matured, who just doesn't have the maturity level to sit still. And that's all it is. It's nothing bigger than that. And I feel like there's
the kid that's
tippy tapping on his
tapping
desk.
away.
Yeah, tapping away, drumming, whatever it might be. And I feel like there's so many and I want to give so much credit to millennials and you know, the boomers too. Sometimes the boomers they come a long way.
Sometimes they come around.
But you know, our generation just supports and welcomes mental health conversations and normalizing it so much more than like the traditional generations of being like ADHD is not real. So when were you able to see a doctor?
So I'm not kidding. Like, so I turned 18, end of my senior year, with a 2.6 GPA, I believe. So C, not even C plus average, like C average, right? I graduated high school with a diploma kind of thing. And that was it. And I remember I had auditioned at all these schools for music and this and that, and quite a bit of them, right? And I think I auditioned, I believe, at like 10 schools and on this like pipe dream, and like talking my mom into even allowing me to audition and apply at these schools was a challenge. And I got into, I think, like 9 out of 10 of them, right?
Right.
And 100% of the ones that I got into said, you can come. You would be on academic probation. You can't get scholarships because you're on academic probation. And you would have to be reviewed after your first semester or 2 semesters here to see if we'll keep you because of how piss poor your performance was academically
right,
in high school.
In school.
And so I realized, one, I couldn't afford that without any scholarship. That was never going to work. And so over the summer between the end of my senior year and my freshman year of college, I took myself to the doctor and got prescribed actual medication for being ADHD.
Oh, because you're 18 now.
I'm 18. I can do that.
Can you go when you're younger? I think you can go when you're younger, but there just has to be some kind of parent doctor privilege or something when you have like a guardian when you're not of age.
Exactly.
Well, fuck, good for you.
Right. So went to a community college in fall because I couldn't go to any of those schools that on academic probation. Ended senior year high school with 2.6. I took 21 credits my fall semester, which is more than a full schedule, and was practicing 2 or 3 hours a day, singing as much as I could, playing music as much as I could. And I ended that semester with a 3.7 GPA. Okay,
so I just want to, struggling Canadian here. So how many credits is a regular semester load?
Full-time is considered 12.
12 credits, okay. And then what does the GPA schedule stop at?
1 to 4, right? So when I went from a C plus student to B plus to A student in one semester.
After being properly medicated.
Yeah, and on a overly full scholarship, on an overly full course
schedule,
load, like way more, like 15 would have been fine. 18 is a lot. 21 is unheard of. It's not, that's so much kind of thing. It's crazy. No one would do that. But I felt after I started taking the medication, like, oh my God, everything that I've struggled with of just like not being able to finish a task, I can do now.
Right.
And I was balancing that, and I got the idea I wanted to challenge myself and try and make into this drum corps, this thing called Bantam Regiment, because it was in my backyard.
Oh, people are going to be so excited. We have so many Drumline fans.
We do.
I literally had never heard the word Drumline except for is there a movie called Drumline or something?
Yes.
Yeah.
Nick Cannon's finest.
Oh, Nick Cannon. Okay, maybe I have seen it. Anyway, but for someone who wasn't in band, I was heavily involved in music growing up. Right. I did piano guitar my entire life, but I'd never heard of it.
Right.
We have a lot of drum corps fans.
And it wasn't anything that I'd really done prior to it. I had just known it was always there. It was in my backyard. It was something that I felt like I needed to challenge myself to do.
I see.
And so a buddy of mine that I went to, his name was Anthony McGarrah, very great guy. I think he's still in Hawaii with the Marines now. Great guy.
Playing drums.
Yeah. And we would push each other until 2, 3, 4 in the morning, playing ping pong, playing percussion, and just practicing.
Is ping pong a practice for drumming?
It was literally it was we'd play drums for an hour and we'd take 10 minutes off and then we'd go back to it.
Got it.
My mother's patience listening to that in the basement,
every parent's worst nightmare is when their kid wants to learn how to play drums. Yeah.
And so, the long story short in that, 2, 3, 4 callbacks for this thing, right? Everyone else was getting picked. And I knew the very first audition, I am not good enough to be in this group. There's no way it's not going to happen.
What are the age limits? What's the age span? Because it's not just high school kids, obviously.
It's up to 21.
Oh, up to 21.
Yeah.
Okay, I see. So teen to 21.
Yeah, I believe it's 21.
I see. Okay. Oh, that's actually younger than I thought it was going to be.
20 or 21, yeah, I'm pretty sure. But to add even more drama to it, it was very much I didn't think I was ready, but I was working my ass off to get it. And I'm not kidding. We had 4 or 5 probably callbacks, and it came down to me and my buddy going against each other.
No, that's a movie.
For the last spot.
No.
And I got
Spoiler alert. Yeah, you got it.
Yeah. And it's crazy because to me, I would have never devoted that much time and energy and passion into the music side of things. That wasn't cool. The fuck this is. Had I not been forced to realign and prioritize myself, right?
Right.
And that entire experience is crazy because I feel like people who aren't in the performing arts obviously have their own version of this. They don't feel good enough in business or medical or academics and everything. Everyone has imposter syndrome. There's something about performing arts to me that feels so vulnerable in the sense that it's so obvious when you're not ready to do what you're doing. You can read yourself.
Well, I think the hardest thing about arts is that, and I'm sure the structure has changed, will change, is changing, whatever it is, but there's so many measurements of success based on a group of people doing the exact same thing, but in their own style or way. And that's how it's measured of who's best. Yep. So it's you think of when I went to piano competitions, we'd all play the same song, but it was who could play it the best. Or in art competitions, we would all draw the same thing, but who can draw it the best. And that's why it's vulnerable, because it's you're doing the exact same thing, but it's who can do it in their way the best.
Who can do it in their way the best, and also a lot of it's subjective anyway, right? So
totally.
even if you are the best, there's still plenty of room in your own brain to go, I think that person's better.
Yeah.
And like, even if you win, I don't think I should have won that. Like our brains are so hard on ourselves.
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, even too, like when I think about all the piano competitions that I went to, it's like you could practice for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, but someone could still practice 1 hour more than you and be potentially better. And so like,
absolutely,
it's hard to think about the perspective that like you're coming into it with and not have imposter syndrome or doubts or stress and the pressure of like stage fright too. Like when you're performing, like I think of all the time. So I, when I was going through like the Royal Conservatory for like doing the levels of piano, you would do an exam after every grade to receive like your next whatever to move on to like the next level. And no matter how good I could play it at home, memorized, I'd get into that room and just absolutely just fucking put that shit in the trash. Like it was terrible. I remember I brought my boyfriend at the time to my exam just to like help me, stay calm beforehand. And he'd heard me play, you only play 3 songs and a bunch of scales and they ask you like at random, play an arpeggio in this key. And of course, them at home, but you get in there. And I remember coming out of my one exam and I had really fucked a song. Like could not get through it. And he was like, so that was okay. How are we feeling? How are we feeling? Do you want to be Dairy Queen?
You want some Dairy Queen? Even your lactose intolerant?
Also, nothing has changed. Literally nothing has changed. Yeah.
You want some ice cream?
Apparently ice cream is my love language. And that's okay. But I mean, it's just like in that environment, it's just like, I could have practiced more. I could have played one more time. The person before me, I heard them play and I heard them nail it. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's just like a spiral.
The amount of people that I feel like I've connected with later on, they were like, yeah, babe, you were always so good. I'm like, you were always so good. They were like,
did you say, yeah, babe?
No, I don't think so.
You said, I think you were like, yeah, babe, you're so good. And you're like, yeah, you're
That's
so
what I said
good.
to these people. I said, yeah, babe. But like you constantly get in your head that you are having
not
to
as
put
good.
up a front
Yeah.
just to like, and everyone feels that way. And it's not to say there aren't some people who just excel and know they're the absolute shit. Don't get me wrong. But I'm not talking about that person. That wasn't
no
me.
one likes that guy.
That guy sucks.
That
Or
guy
that girl sucks.
Yeah. Oh, either it's both sucks.
But no, but the sad thing was, I feel like that cycle of me barely getting into the thing that I wanted to get into and then constantly thinking they shouldn't have brought me on, I'm not worthy of this kind of thing, went on for another 10 years, I feel like, before I finally started to, I don't know, just reap some benefits of like the actual hard work and actually feel like I belong.
There's so much about fertility that's a complete mystery, and that's where the modern fertility hormone test comes in. Think of your fertility hormones as tiny detectives. They can bring you tons of insight into your egg count, reproductive timeline, and even possible outcomes for egg freezing and IVF. Everything you need to know to get proactive about your fertility. With a single finger prick, you can unlock tons of insight into your reproductive health. It's an easy and affordable way to test your fertility hormones at home to get insight into how many eggs you have, hormone levels, and other important fertility factors. Moose is our one and only baby right now, but with modern fertility, you can skip the just wait and see traditional guidance. Mail it in with your prepaid label and you'll get your personalized results within 10 days. Traditional testing with your doctor can cost over $1,000, but modern fertility, it only costs $159 to get the same information. Also, if you have an HSA or FSA, you can use those dollars on modern fertility. Right now, Modern Fertility is offering our listeners $20 off the test when you go to modernfertility.com/wild9. That means your test will only cost $139 instead of the hundreds or thousands it could cost at a doctor's office. Get $20 off your fertility test when you go to modernfertility.com/wild9. That's modernfertility.com/wild9. What interferes with your happiness? 2020 has been a year, and as this year wraps up, we want to introduce you to BetterHelp. BetterHelp is an online platform dedicated towards helping you find peace with your mental health.
BetterHelp will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist where you can connect with them right from your home. It's a safe and private online environment where you can start communicating in under 24 hours.
You can send a message to your counselor anytime and have the ability to schedule weekly video or phone sessions. I personally have sat in many await rooms in my anxiety journey, and being able to do it from the comfort of my home is genuinely life-changing.
The service is available for clients worldwide with a broad expertise available, which may not be locally available in many areas. Licensed professional counselors who are specialized in depression, stress, anxiety, relationships, trauma, anger, family conflict, LGBTQIA+ matters, grief, and self-esteem.
We want you to start living a happier life today. As a listener, you'll get 10% off your first month by visiting our sponsor, betterhelp.com/WT9. Join over 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health. Again, that's betterhelp.com/WT9. So I feel like a handful of our viewers already know this, but Jeremy was basically, so if you've seen Pitch Perfect 1 through 3, that was Jeremy.
1 through 3 for sure. Have to get them all.
Are you kidding? Of course. Honestly, I think number 2 is my favorite personally. Anyways, Jeremy's life was basically Pitch Perfect. Like, I just, you know what? I don't know if I was just in the wrong part of Canada, but this is something out of the movies for me. I know I say that a lot, and like maybe it's because we're just like a smaller country.
A movie?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Got it.
Yes. Are you kidding? Yes. Yes, it is. And so Jeremy was Pitch Perfect, singing a cappella in at the University of Kentucky. Walk me through that. Let me tee you up here.
Well, the reason I went to UK was the professor there, James Campbell, is like a very well-known professor. Like was like the president of like the Hall of Fame of percussion. Like all these, if you were in the industry, you knew who that guy was.
Okay.
And it's like the perfect balance for me of like, I could drive there. It was a public school. And the most important piece was, and of course, back to the imposter syndrome, he gave me the second highest scholarship they give out.
Oh, I see.
So I was given a little over like half of my tuition was covered by this performance scholarship. And so I went there. It was like far enough away from home to restart my life and do what I wanted to as a sophomore when I transferred, but wasn't so outrageous like in New York or Chicago to the point where I was going to be $250,000 in debt by the time it was over.
Totally.
And so like I got down there and I realized I wanted to focus on percussion. Even though I loved singing, I wanted to focus on that because that was the program. That's what you focused on kind of thing. And I, within 2 or 3 weeks, met a bunch of the guys that were on the singing side. And towards the end of the semester, they basically talked me into, hey, listen, if you want to pay the rest of your scholarship, like the rest of the tuition that you're not getting, there are 3 groups you can audition into that will pay for your tuition. Like if you can get into them, you have to audition, you have to make them, but the choir department's well funded, they can pay for it. And so I'm like, oh my God, perfect.
Yeah.
And so I went and auditioned for all these 3 groups thinking I'll get maybe 1 or 2 of them. And I ended up getting all 3. But
can we pause for 1 second? Uh-huh. Jeremy always harps on me for being a lucky person. I would not be as bold to say that I think you are just as lucky as I am.
It's looking back, even though like I'm like sitting here
like,
saying,
are you listening to how things are turning out for you?
But looking back, I still think I barely deserved to get in any of these things. And I feel like I had to sell my way into all of it and I still didn't deserve it. Even looking back and I'm trying to preach the fact that like, you do deserve it. I'm still like, I still don't know how I managed it.
I just think the way that you grew up, and I don't think that this will ever change, is that I think you have a chip on your shoulder and you will carry that with you through everything you do.
But I'm saying I don't think I deserved it.
I know. I think you think that because you have imposter syndrome and you have a chip on your shoulder.
I guess.
Welcome to therapy with Lord DIY.
Right. This is my therapy session.
Yeah. So anyway, so you got the option to do all 3. And so one was the acoustic cats.
Well, so one was men's choir.
Okay.
And so that one I could get into no matter, like they would let anybody in there, right? But they would give me a scholarship if I got into the acoustic cats, which is the a cappella group that was men's, right?
Babe.
Yeah.
You're my acoustic crush. Ew. For our audio listeners only, Jeremy just laid down the fattest, nastiest wink of my life.
It wasn't going to work and I was going to be like, this. It's been a
you
while.
had one shot. You had one shot to wink there. Yeah.
Okay, it still works.
Okay,
I still got it.
Stop. Keep going.
Make sure the face still works.
So acoustic cats was a second level of choir.
Well, it was like an extracurricular thing, and like you got money for doing that, and you would get money for doing men's choir if you got into both.
I see.
And then on top of that, there was a thing called chorale, which is the best of guys and women, and there was like, I don't know, 4 voice parts of every part, but 16, 24 parts.
Okay,
that's it, and you got the most money for that. And I got into all 3. And then maybe a week or 2 afterward, and I had been struggling with my allergies really bad anyway. A week or 2 after I got into those and like found out I was going to basically have most of my stuff paid for the following year, I went to the doctor and he said, you are at risk of crazy infection in your throat because your tonsils are so big. We have to remove them very soon.
You know that this is the same storyline as Chloe in Pitch Perfect when she had nodes, right?
Yeah, but anyway, it was my real life. So I was like, fuck! like I just got here. I'm just starting to figure this thing out. And you're like, now I'm like, he's like, and you'll probably be able to sing, but like sometimes it does mess you up and you don't really have the same voice as you did before.
Right. And so, sorry, this was tonsils?
Yeah, my tonsils were literally touching in the morning.
I follow someone on TikTok who just had their tonsils removed as an adult, and it is one of the like doctors acclaimed most painful surgeries to have when you're an adult. It just does not heal the way that a kid's throat does.
It was the most painful thing that's ever happened to me. Most painful. No joke.
I mean, you've told me like horror stories of you having your tonsils removed.
It was I'm glad I did it obviously, but it was the most, I can't imagine something more painful.
How long is the recovery for that?
Solid 2 weeks. Oh, like, God. And you're not really able to do anything for the first week because every time you breathe, you're like,
oh,
like, you know, when like you're sitting there going, like that's miserable.
That's miserable. Yeah.
Anyway, 2 weeks, turns out I could sing. Everything's good.
So you still did all 3?
I did all three. And like, I did that for a year and a half. And as you would say, of course, the luck hit it, whatever. As I was about to basically move over to the business side of things, realizing I loved music, but I felt like such an imposter for so many reasons. And I needed to get into something that was more concrete and would make mom proud and all this shit.
I also think that there are so many just like societal pressures of people having the impression, and honestly, this is not an impression, I feel like this is kind of reality, is that it is so hard to make it in the arts and to earn a steady income. So like, I don't think that's an unfair mindset for you to have, to be like, this is a little risky. This is a little risky for like my well-being financially later on in life.
I think I looked at it like the guy that was teaching me like some of my private lessons was, you know, a doctor of percussion, right? He had a doctorate and like he was having a hard time paying his water bill.
Right.
And I was like, I don't want this.
Well, I mean, it's just like, do you want to make that sacrifice to do something that you are so passionate about?
And I guess I loved it enough at the time to be like, I think I can cultivate my own love for this, not from a financial standpoint.
Right.
Go to business, make my money in this capacity, still love music, and be able to do them both at the same time and not have to rely on one.
Right.
And also like the pressures of like, I felt like I was just skating by, like just by my teeth every time to get in these new groups and doing this. And I was like, I don't want to, like, that's too stressful. I think my art of bullshit will get me through on a sales and marketing path to a more like solid financial future.
Right. Well, so you could still switch over to business classes while doing acoustic cats and chorale and stuff.
Well, so that was the thing. I basically, when I switched to business the year before, right? Or when I ended up switching to business, I was like, you know what? The percussion scholarship, although it's half of my tuition, I'll lose that. I'll keep doing the singing stuff to supplement, right?
Okay, got it.
And the following year, right, like my end of my junior year, before I was going to go into my senior year, I was so far behind because I switched majors late. I was like, I need to drop everything. I'll pick up the debt, but I'll be able to nail this and actually graduate on time. And of course, as luck would have it, Jordan Lindsay, one of my best friends to this day, whatever, goes, we're going to audition for this thing off.
NBC's best.
And if you're in this group, you have to because your scholarship says so. And we're like, I was like, fuck.
Oh, interesting. So because
you're, choice.
Yeah, because they're paying you and you're part of that group. Yeah.
And he'll be the first one to say, remember what I told you? I remember he came to this idea and I was like, Jordan, this is a waste of time.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this. We're not going to make it. First off, we suck. And the audition is the same.
Don't say that about my acoustic cats.
Anyway, and the audition's the same day as the Kentucky Derby. And I was like, I am not missing the Derby to go to some audition to go be told how much we suck.
Okay.
And so I was irate. I did not want to go. I did not want to practice for this stupid thing, but my scholarship was there, so I was going to do it. So basically I was like, you know what? This is my goodbye. I'll do this, then I'm done, and then I'm going to just focus on business. And I remember we practiced for this damn thing for a month and a half and finally got down there to Nashville and auditioned for this thing. And I realized at the end of the audition, I was like, fuck, I think we just made this thing.
As luck would have it.
And what's crazy is because like it takes weeks or even a month to find out about that, you know. And I was like back at home in Rockford, like between my junior and senior year, like getting ready for my senior year, taking a bunch of classes and this and that. Get that call, of course. It's like, hey, you're going to LA, and I was like,
I'm sure Donna loved that one.
As if on schedule, she was like, well, yeah, but you're not going, and I was like, well, no. It's my group, so I kind of have to go. She's like, yeah, but you're not going. And I was like, no, but I gotta go.
I mean, it's tough too, because you would have been what, like 20 at the time?
I was 20. Yeah, I was 20.
Yeah. And you would have been 20.
I was 20.
Yeah.
No. I was 21.
Oh, your January birthday. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
I was 21. And it was like, it was crazy because like I had just, I feel like not given up on my like love of music kind of thing, but I just said, I'm gonna put you over here for a while. I'm gonna go finish school. I'm gonna go do this thing that I know I need to do. So I'm gonna put my creative thing to the side finally. and I'm going to go focus on this. I mean, I think my mom was like, oh, thank God.
And you're like, psych.
And then of course, fights later, when I was like, I'm going to LA kind of thing. And of course, I went to LA, and I feel like that was, to a degree, I felt good about leaving music there almost. Because when I got out to LA, once again, surrounded by people, as you know, who are just so talented. And it's one more reason of you're like, I don't deserve to be here.
What's the best of the best?
Hell, it wouldn't even have to be the best of the best. Like, it's just like, I'm there and I'm like, I don't know how this stuff works. I'm a kid from the Midwest that's been singing in sorority houses. I don't, like, what camera do I look at? I can't dance. I'm 6'4". I'm a gangly white kid that just looks awkward. I don't know what to do with myself kind of thing.
Finish the podcast. But once you finish the podcast, do yourself a favor. Go to YouTube search bar and type in, what's the one where your pants come down? NBC sing-off, Acoustic Cats with a K. I want to be very clear, not a C.
Old time rock and roll.
And it's old time rock and roll.
Tom Cruise when he goes.
Jeremy has a little solo moment where he rips his pants down.
You know what? I used to do a lot more squats. Go check it out.
Yeah, the thighs look great, babe.
Thighs look great. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thighs look nice. Do yourself a favor. There's a picture of me, my mother, and my assistant all huddled around a little iPhone, enjoying this for the first time together when we found out when Jeremy first started dating. And
we weren't even dating yet.
We weren't even dating?
No. It was like 3 weeks later, and you were like, hi, Mom, this is Jeremy.
Oh, you're right. Because my parents were here.
This is when he takes his pants off on. And like, I gotta be honest,
TV.
I had just shook the DUI thing. I was no longer at this. I was finally getting my life together. Like, I feel like parents were finally like, oh, this kid's in tech. He's got a straight job. Everything's good. And you're like, but look at the time he took his pants off on national television.
I mean, I've done much worse on the internet. So my parents are not thrown by that kind of behavior on the internet.
I didn't tell my mom I was taking my pants off that night.
Oh, did she shit her pants? Oh my God. She must have.
She wasn't like, she was like.
Your mom was just so modest that she was on her couch at home. Just
Jeremy, all 3 syllables. Jeremy. Jeremy. Oh, here we are.
Yeah.
And so to cap this thing off, to not go just to great lengths or whatever, the crazy thing is about coming to LA and like even like realizing that you are falling in love with like a new city and like post college and all these things or whatever. I remember like going back to school and realizing like, wow, I want to do a business. I don't want to be in the performing arts by any means, but like I want to get to it. I just want to like start. And I had a really hard time coming back to school after being on TV, like really, really hard. Like I couldn't get out of bed. I was just super sad. I wanted to be out in LA. I had met a girl. It was just like, I was very much just like, I want to get done with this thing. And like, you know me, I don't have issues with depression. It's not something that I struggle with. Mm-hmm. I was depressed. And I think the more, once again, people told me when I got back to school and I was the kid that was, I mean, it's a big university, but
local
like,
celeb. Yeah,
like it's Lexington, Kentucky. It's like I would go into any restaurant or anything on campus. It was like, that kid's the one that can sing or whatever kind of thing. Which you think it's cool, but it's not. And you just feel like you're like an imposter because you're like, yeah, but like when I'm out there, I'm nobody. Like you guys, once again, you don't understand. I'm not cool. And what you think about me is not real. Like that's not cool. Mm-hmm. And so it's crazy because I look back on my life and I'm like, I was upset when people thought that I was something that I wasn't in a negative way. And I'm also upset when someone gives me too much credit. So it's just like the human condition is so fucked.
It's the chip on your shoulder. I told you.
Yeah, it's
tough. Like a chunk out of your shoulder.
It's tough.
I think too, I can relate to this in a lot of ways. When I felt like I was trapped in Toronto, waiting for literally my visa to be approved to be able to go to Los Angeles.
How long is that process?
I mean, it depends. I think under the current administration that we just had over the past 4 years, what a fun ride that was. That was a process that was not fun for anyone.
Right.
Immigration, just not.
But how long did it take you?
So for me, under Obama, it took me about 9 months.
Wow, that's still a long time.
It's a long time. My application, so I'm on an O1 visa. My application was over 200 pages of every career achievement I'd ever had in my entire life. Every magazine printout I'd ever been featured in, every news segment I'd ever been on, any kind of award or recognition that you have. But like what I'm getting at is just that like when I felt like I was trapped in a place that I did not want to be because I saw something bigger and brighter in a place that I just couldn't quite reach yet, you can't appreciate anything behind you.
Nothing makes you feel valuable where you are, all you can focus on is the place you want to be.
You want to be, right. So it's like, I'm sure a lot of people in the Acoustic Hats, when you guys came back, were like, oh, hell yeah, I'm a local celebrity. People want to buy me drinks. Like, I'm sure a lot of people, flourished in that. But because you had another goal that you wanted to get to, you're kind of blinded as to what's happening around you.
I would go so far to say that 4 or 5 of the guys dealt with depression at the time. And I could think of 1 or 2 that still do.
Right. Interesting.
One in particular, one that just never really got back. He got a taste of just like a life that was beyond everything he knew.
Right.
And he had no idea how to get back to it.
Right. Well, I mean, it's so polarizing. It's just like, it's such a different world.
Yeah. And it's not like the biggest prime. It was on prime time on NBC, but it's not like it's some like, you're not an A-list celebrity by any means. You're not a B-list celebrity. You're not a C-list celebrity. You're just like, you get a taste of like what that performance feels like, and you don't know how to replicate it. And it's like a drug.
Yeah.
And you just don't know how to get back to it. And like a lot of us struggled.
It's interesting.
But no one, of course, wants to share that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
And here comes Donna's favorite part of your academic career is when you didn't finish your degree.
Isn't that fun?
What a star child you are, babe.
Isn't that fun? I'm thinking back, I'm like, Mom, you had a tough ride.
Yeah. Your mom, truly a saint. Bless her.
So long story short, my senior year, I definitely did get a little bit behind by not being at school for the first 3 months in the fall.
For sure.
And when I went back, of course, like my newfound depression was just like, I don't want to go to school. This is stupid. It's terrible. I'm going to LA. And so halfway through the next following semester, my grades had really fallen. I didn't care. I didn't want to be there. I was just like, I want to get out to LA and do something. It wasn't even perform, but like, I want to get out there. I'll get a shit job. I'll just like, work my way up kind of thing. I just want to get out there and get into life.
Start.
Yeah. I want to start.
Just start.
I want to start. And I decided with a few weeks left, you know what?
A few weeks, Jeremy?
Well, the thing was, I realized there was one class I think I wasn't going to pass.
Oh, you were going to pass it, I see. So you'd have to go in for another semester.
Not only that, I was like, okay, if I can get it done in the summer, or if I can get it done in one 3-month period or a 4-month period, I'll do it. I wasn't able to. So I would have had to have got another lease, be there for all of summer and fall.
Okay, that's more, when you said a few weeks, I was like, you know what? I'm officially on Donna's side.
Yeah, no, it was like, I still only have like 15 credits left, which is like a semester. But one of those courses is a prerequisite to the other one. So I have to be there 2 consecutive semesters. I see. Otherwise, I would have realistically with Corona probably would have been like, oh, well, I'm quarantined anyway.
Just finished it. Yeah.
Online anyway.
Yeah.
And so I, spoiler alert, move out to LA in with my girlfriend for the first time, living with a girl kind of thing, right? Go from like small town Kentucky, moving out to LA, no degree, no plan, no anything. And
how much do you have in savings?
$200.
Jesus Christ.
$300.
Oh my God. Everyone always says that you need at least 3 months. Like, I feel like this is the general thing that I've always heard from friends who moved to LA with nothing to like do their fresh start, is that they always try and move out here with at least 3 months of everything saved so that they could do nothing for 3 months and have that cushion. So you came out here with 3 cents.
I can't tell you how much you need. I do know that it's more than $300.
Got it.
Yeah.
Surprise.
So moved out here and was just like, I'll figure it out, kind of thing. I don't know what I'm going to do. And spoiler alert, I could not figure it out.
Okay. So for how long?
Years. Because
So what did you do when you first got here?
Applied at any and everything.
Okay.
Right? And I realized, and it's what's terrible about it is that minimum wage, I don't know if it's changed at the time or now, like minimum wage was not going to cover the amount of money I needed to just survive and pay my student loans and whatever kind of thing. So I was like, okay, I have to figure out how to make a little bit more than that to even come out net zero. And none of it, just did the math, none of it worked. Like I wasn't going to able to just get an hourly job that required no previous experience and could pay my bills. I'm like, I have to, as opposed to doing that and still coming up short, let me take 30 days, 45 days to get a job that pays a little bit better or figure something out to actually be able to cover my expenses. And it just took so long and I realized that, okay, great. I know enough about marketing and sales. I'll be able to consult and help from a social perspective, whatever some of these businesses. And it took me, I would get up at the crack of dawn, 6 a.m., start shooting emails out, calling, using everyone I knew, which was almost nobody out here, right? My girlfriend at the time was on tour, so she wasn't even here. So I was just alone in a city, knowing maybe 2 or 3 people. And the people that I knew, I couldn't ask for help because I didn't want to look desperate.
Right.
Because I couldn't come up that way.
Also, new friend. It's
God
like you're
forbid.
not comfortable with that.
Right. And I didn't want to use the things around me that I think I probably could have used per se because they were doing well. I didn't want to come off or make people feel like I was using them. So I refused to ask. And so I feel like people, and the reason that I feel like I've put off even talking about this part is because people have been like, talk about post-university or like, you don't have a degree or, how did you get here? Right. Like what took you from dropping out of school and now having a great job and being able to support myself and beyond and being really fortunate and lucky to be in a career that has really endless opportunities. And I look back at it and it was as conventional as the rest of my upbringing. Cause like I struggled for like years. I mean, I feel like you came out here with a purpose of like, I want to do this thing I'm already doing. And I feel like I came out here with a world of like, I want to come out there. And obviously I was interested in obviously being closer to my girlfriend, but I also was so passionate about the idea of being able to be in a city with endless opportunities in business and tech and culture and everything that just didn't exist in the Midwest.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's not dissimilar to a ton of people who just want, they move to LA with a dream. And that's
it would have been a little bit easier with a dream and a degree. But of course, because I had on the way out.
Actually, do you actually think that it would have been easier had you had a degree on your?
No, not at this point.
Yeah, I was going to say, I actually don't know if I agree with that. Yeah.
And to even on top for where I ended up, right? Because when you leave with no, I'm going to go figure it out. You don't believe in me. Yeah, I'll show you. Yeah, I'm going to make it. I'll figure it out. You can't then call that person and say, hey, everything you said was right.
Right.
Hey, Mom, I am struggling. And of course, for years when she would call me, oh, everything's good. No, I'm fine. I'm fine. I couldn't afford food. I was trying to figure out how to scrounge enough dollars together to eat, pay some of the rent, do anything and everything I could for multiple years. And all the while being surrounded by people that are, as far as I'm concerned, thriving.
Right.
And
I think though, there's like a lesson in this about asking for help.
Of course.
Because I find myself in relationships with boys that just don't know how to ask for help, who just don't know how to do it. And I think it's because there's this stereotype of like asking for help is not manly and that it's weak and it's pathetic and it's desperate. Like you literally use that word.
Yeah.
And like, I think about who you would have been surrounded with in this time of your life. And had you asked for a little bit of help?
Of course. And it's the biggest visual reminder I feel like I have of myself in this time that I can always go back to whenever like, I feel like I've not forget my story, but like when I feel like it's been so long since then is I did, it was like 2016, I think. I sang with a group in Florida called Voctive. They're like this a cappella group at Disney, right? The leader of that group, Jamie Ray, and I got connected and he said, you and your girlfriend should come out and sing with us. We'll do a video. It'll be fun. Whatever you want to sing, I'll write it. And it's great. Once again, I looked at these people from afar on YouTube and I was like, these are the most talented singers ever. I can't say no to this opportunity. Once again, don't feel like I belong in this. My girlfriend, of course, is way more accomplished than me. I am once again in the situation that I don't deserve, but you have to try. You have to do it. And while I'm trying to figure out how to make enough money to eat and pay some rent and do the basic things, I also can't turn down this opportunity to do this thing. And the reason I bring it up is because I look at the video, this thing called Disney Love Medley that we did. And I look at the video and
that's a different person.
I'm 50 pounds less than I am right now.
You look sick.
I was sick.
Yeah, but no, that's what I mean. But it's like, it's jarring and like alarming what 6'4" can look like with 50 pounds less. Like knowing what you look like.
Looking at my face. If you watch that video and you look at my face.
For me, it's your elbows.
I mean, I couldn't afford to eat. I was barely able to survive. And it's a reminder of this moment where I was doing this thing that I hadn't been able to do in years. I'm not kidding. Like that was the first time I had been in a recording studio since I was on the show. It was like years, right? And I look at that piece and I look happy and I'm smiling and everything's great. And I know how sad I was.
Right.
Because I was so far from control and all I wanted to do was be all the things that I felt that I was not.
Well, I think that you were chasing success and a sense of individuality.
True. And of course, like people on the internet were mean and were saying, this kid is using you for this, or this person, what does he do? Like, why is he fit? Why does he have followers? Why all this thing? And you just want to say, shut up, go away.
You don't know.
You don't know.
I know.
You don't know what people are dealing with.
I have been on the internet for 9 years.
Exactly.
I know.
So here's where things get good.
Is it me? Am I the good part?
Oh, that's the finale, my love. Here's where things get good. Enough knocking on doors, enough trying to figure it out, and just like being willing to work hard. And I get a client that pays a little bit more. And when you get momentum and you make a little bit of money and you're not desperate, when you don't have enough, when you don't have so much time to like worry about if I don't get this job, I'm not going to eat. When you go, okay, well, I'm going to eat. I know that much. Now I'd like to start paying back that student debt.
Right.
The momentum carries you. The way that you present yourself just changes. You don't have time to stress over little things, so you get through more things. And so I landed another client that was bigger and another client that was bigger.
And when you say client, like what were you doing?
I was doing basically, I would take a startup and they wanted to be able to create either new, like marketing for them. They wanted to create social assets or be able to understand how like the back end of social platforms worked. And I studied Facebook and I studied Instagram and I studied Twitter and I studied the paid ads behind them. And I would create these strategies for companies that couldn't afford big agencies, but they would pay me like a flat dollar amount and I just figured it out for them.
Right.
And, started making a little bit of money, not anywhere near enough to actually like pay back my debt, but like enough to like exist.
To float.
Right.
Yeah.
And that, 6-9 months later, start making some decent money. And I got an opportunity to work for a kind of newer tech company, STEM. And I actually took a small pay cut to work at STEM, but I believed in the product and what they did.
And also too, your lifestyle improvement of you going from working for yourself to working for, a corporation, even though it was a small business, like, it's just different when it's not you working for you.
When it's you working for you, there's no work days. You have days, and every day you work. And there are no work hours. It's you have to work until the work is done. Because if you don't do it, it doesn't get done. And when you work for a company, it's not to say they couldn't drive you, but like it's probably 9 to 5-ish or 8 to 6-ish, and it's probably 5 or 6 days a week. And that's when I realized, and I got this idea of like, holy shit, I actually am good at business. I actually can excel. Like I got into a role where there was more opportunity than I was just bringing to the table myself, and I kept hitting it. And it wasn't that any degree or any conversation or any one of those things in the past would have like unlocked that for me. It was a place where I was put into an opportunity where I had like tried hard enough and worked hard enough and studied hard enough for myself to get to, and everything fell into place from there. But nothing I was going to do myself was going to get me to that situation until the time was right and the opportunity was right for me.
Right. Everything had to align and all the experience that you went through had to happen.
And it's crazy because I look back on the things that I struggled with and the path that I took and the thing that brought me to I was very successful at STEM. And I got another job after that working for my current company that was even bigger than that. And going from small contracts to big to really, really big stuff, working with the biggest media companies in the world. And I don't think that I would have the general understanding of how just like the landscape and how people and how empathy works for people that don't look and act and think and believe in the same things as I do, had I not been knocked on my ass as a kid and been told, this is your chance. You get to either reinvent yourself in the way to humble yourself and understand your shame, or you can keep trying to put up this front. And it still took me 10 years later, 11, God knows, to get to that point. But I honestly don't think I'd be here today had I not had the worst thing ever happened to me that became the best thing that ever happened to me.
The end.
No, the best thing ever happened to me is you, of course.
Oh, that's so nice.
See, you didn't have to deal with Jeremy in his worst days.
Are you kidding me? I still deal with the trauma of all the shit that's happened and the chunk on your shoulder that's off.
Chunk on my shoulder?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I appreciate it.
Here's me packing it up with Mod Podge and glitter and clay and all my DIY supplies.
So that's my story.
Yeah, I don't entirely understand how you don't see that this is a movie. This is 6 movies. This is a sequel on sequel on sequel. Like we touched Nick Cannon's Drumline. We touched Anna Kendrick's Pitch Perfect. We touched probably some Hallmark stuff in there.
Sounds like these movies have already been written.
About your life, yes.
Well, the stories have been told.
No, but like you've lived so many of these like crazy stories that I'm like, shit.
Yeah, but the movie we're gonna make is gonna be the best one yet.
That's so nice, babe.
Probably, hopefully not as entertaining as the other ones. Won't have so much
little less
climax
action.
Yeah, hopefully a little more consistent. But yeah, I like this movie the best. That's for sure.
Yeah, but like I don't think you could be in this movie without the other movies.
I very much agree.
Yeah. All right. Well, fuck.
Anyone still with us?
Yeah. Shit.
Anyway, I feel better in a lot of ways. And I'm glad that I wrote it all out yesterday to a degree because I feel like I didn't realize how much things were connected. But I feel like I've almost told like, how'd you get after college? Or like, what is like some things you struggle with and this and that. It's like, you almost have to tell the whole story. For it to make sense.
I mean, it's hard without giving certain pieces context. I think it's very difficult.
Yeah, agreed.
For sure. I mean, that's how I feel. I've had such I've been on the internet for 9 years and I feel like my career has so many different chapters of it that all led to a new chapter that it's hard to tell it just in sections without, accidentally throwing a little shade in one direction or taking blame or putting, it's tough. It's tough. Okay. So, hopefully no one took the, notes to make like a memoir and steal your story or something because
if they did, call me when it's made.
Okay.
I would love for the folks that are on the community side, keep sharing. It's like crazy how inspiring it is to get texts or messages or DMs or tweets from people that are like, these things are so close to what I'm dealing with in my neck of the world.
Right.
And I feel like we take it for granted of just like sharing stories that like are just like, oh, we got drunk and did this stupid thing and we learned something from it. But it's like, it's so similar to what everybody else is dealing with too. Oh yeah, for sure. And then also if you don't feel like doing that, just send us a dog pic. Mostly dog pics would be great. I got a really cute dog today named Chili, a dachshund who's actually going in for surgery. So send good vibes to Chili. To Chili? Yeah. Getting surgery? Yeah. I'm going to cry again. Oh my God. Stop it. Stop. Is it serious surgery? Well, he's a little old, so they're nervous. Oh my God, you're going to make me cry again. Stop it right now. We need to end the podcast immediately. Eyes welling. Chili. Babe, this has been Wild Till 9. This has been Wild Till 5:30. We're going for tennis tonight, so I don't know what you want to make of that, but... My name is Boyfriend. My name is Chili. Best of luck, Chili. You won't need it, though. No, Chili's gonna be just fine. He's gonna be fine. Chili's gonna be just fine. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys. I appreciate it if you did make it all the way through. Yeah, let us know if you made it all the way through. Leave a comment about Chili in the comments if you did make it this far, so we know that you a real one, and that you're also. And then we're just gonna aggregate the good vibes for Chili. Chili. Bye. Bye.